What does it truly take to become a dynasty? Is it having a large group of elite players in their primes playing for you, or is it having one of the best coaches of all time roam the sidelines on every Sunday? Well, it's obviously a mix of both. But what if I told you that the old NFL playoff format itself helped create what is now known as the Patriots Dynasty? In what was the old system, the top two seeds of each conference got a bye and were exempt from playing on wildcard weekend. That's now been changed, for better or for worse, but you cannot deny that simply having one less game to play in the playoffs made it easier for the teams that got those byes to make deep playoff runs. The second seed with the new rules will now have to play an extra game against a supposedly weaker opponent, but in any given Sunday after all, especially any given playoff Sunday. No team ended up benefiting more from the previous format rewarding a first-round bye to the second seed more than the Patriots. During their 19-year reign of absolute dominance on the AFC, the Patriots finished with the second seed 6 times, securing a first-round bye in the years where they were only the second-seeded team in the conference. With the new playoff format, the Patriots wouldn't have had the bye and would have had to play on wildcard weekend in all of those years. To understand just how much the Patriots thrived with the old playoff structure, you have to go back and look at how they fared as the second seed compared to their otherly seeded years. In 2001, the Patriots had to rally behind a rookie named Tom Brady after their starter, Drew Bledsoe, went down with an injury. Brady and the Patriots finished the season 11-5 and earned the AFC's second seed en route to a Super Bowl 36 victory over the then St. Louis Rams. Now, sure, that was the year that the Patriots benefited from the tuck rule against Oakland, but that's a story for another time. More importantly is that as the second seed, they won the Super Bowl. Would they have won if they had to play in the wildcard round? That's a whole can of what-ifs. But as it stands, they benefited from having that extra week off to rest and recover. Then, not even 3 years later, the Patriots again finished with the second seed in the AFC en route to their Super Bowl 39 win over the Philadelphia Eagles. At this point, the Patriots had won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, 2 of which when they were the second seed. It would be another 14 years until the Patriots would win the Super Bowl again as the second seed, their Super Bowl 53 win against the now Los Angeles Rams. And what did they have in those 3 years they won it all as the second seed? A first round bye. Matter of fact, during their entire 19-year run, the Patriots won all 6 of their Super Bowls when they had a first round bye. In the 4 years where the Patriots were either the 3rd or 4th seed, and thus having to play in the wild card, the Patriots did not win a single Super Bowl. When the Patriots had to play on wildcard weekend, they didn't even make the Super Bowl. The closest they got was the AFC Championship game before getting knocked off. The Patriots thrived when they had the first round bye, and when the second seed gave you a bye, the Patriots got plenty of first round byes, considering they were consistently at worst the second seed in the AFC. Do the Patriots win as many Super Bowls as they did with the second seed bye week than if they had to play that extra wild card game? Just looking at how much success they had with the bye compared to playing in the wild card, the bye was essential to the Patriots' success. Hypothetically, the Patriots might not have been as successful as they were with the new playoff format forcing the second seed into wildcard weekend. You can even look into the percentages and see just how crucial the second seed was for the Patriots. The Patriots were the second seed a total of 6 times and won the Super Bowl as that seed 3 times, meaning that the Patriots won the Super Bowl 50% of the time they finished as the second seed. In comparison, the Patriots were the first seed a total of 7 times and won the Super Bowl as that seed 3 times as well, meaning that they had won the Super Bowl 42% of the time they were the first seed. The Patriots had a higher chance of winning the Super Bowl when they were the second seed than they did when they were the first seed. And guess what both seeds had in common? Both seeds gave the Patriots a first round bye. The second seed giving the Patriots a bye was just as important to the Patriots than if they were the first seed. Whether they were the first or second seed, the end result was almost the same, a roughly 50% chance to win the Super Bowl. The fact the two percentages are so close to each other shows that the bye truly played a big role for New England. In the 2 years the Pats were the third seed, they didn't win the Super Bowl. And the same can be said for when they were the fourth seed. In the 4 years the Patriots made the playoffs but didn't get the bye, they won the Super Bowl 0% of the time. The numbers say the Patriots had more success when they could just flat out skip the first round than if they were playing in the first round. The new format would have forced the second-seeded Patriots into the wild card, and they most likely are not as successful as the numbers show they were when they had the second-seeded bye. It gets even more preposterous when you realize that the Patriots with the second-seeded bye alone got to skip the wild card round more times than they played in total wild card games during that 19-year stretch. Throughout that whole 19-year stretch, the Patriots only played in the wild card round 4 times. When the Pats were the second seed alone, they got a free pass to the divisional round 6 times. Under the new format, the Patriots would have had to play in the wildcard round 10 times instead of 4, making them more susceptible to upsets and eliminating the extra week off that they thrived with. If the Patriots could lose at home in Gillette Stadium to the New York Jets in the playoffs, you've got to think that if they had to play in the wild card more often, someone would eventually pull off an upset. That's why the end of the Patriots Dynasty is so telling as to why they relied on the second seed and the extra bye week it provided. If New England beats the Dolphins in that Week 17 game, they would have been able to skip a wildcard matchup with Tennessee in what is now the final game of the Brady-Belichick era. The 2019 Patriots did look worse than previous Patriots teams before them, but when the GOAT is on your team in the postseason, who knows what kind of run you can pull off. Lo and behold, they play on wildcard weekend without the extra week off to rest that they usually had, and they lose to the hotshot Titans. It was an unceremonious end to what was 19 years of greatness, but in hindsight, the exact explanation as to how the Patriots used the NFL's own rules to their advantage. The Patriots Dynasty doesn't happen without the playoff format they played in, and they were good enough to exploit the format for everything it had. The Patriots Dynasty is a combination of so many things coming together and creating something much bigger and greater than anyone had ever imagined. So many legendary players in their primes playing for them, and more importantly, having the greatest player in NFL history suit up at quarterback almost every single Sunday for nearly 20 years sans the 2008 season. The Patriots had the best head coach since Bill Walsh on the sidelines, managing a team that through many iterations continued to make and win Super Bowls. Intended or not, the Patriots were the exact kind of team the old playoff format rewarded. Consistent regular season success would give you a consistent playoff advantage. It's not like the Patriots didn't face difficult opposition either, as even just getting to the Super Bowl required beating other elite quarterbacks like Manning, Roethlisberger, Rivers, Luck, and an honorary mention to Joe Flacco. And yet, at the end of the day, everything lined up perfectly for the New England Patriots to become the greatest dynasty in NFL history. We will likely never see a team like the Patriots ever again, especially with the change in the playoff format making it harder on second seeds with the loss of the extra bye week. Or will we?